Namaste, witchlings, and welcome back to Di the Yoga Witch podcast, where we live a magical life through yoga. I'm your host, Di, and as many of you know, before I was a yoga witch, I was a sailor in the United States Navy. So today, with Veterans Day rapidly approaching, I wanted to take some time to reflect on this important day, its history, and what it means to me, both as a veteran and as someone who strives to live a life filled with purpose and intention. Let me tell you my story. I'm a service-connected disabled veteran. This means that I have disabling conditions, for me being PTSD, asthma, and a couple of others, that were either caused or exacerbated by my time on active duty. I served for just about 10 months. I joined the 19th of September, and my discharge date was the 16th of July. However, I was deemed unable to finish my contract due to a personality disorder that was diagnosed in response to my reporting my sexual assault. This was a common tactic for getting rid of assault victims in the 90s, pre-tailhook. I joined the Navy at 17 years old, and I was sworn in by my grandfather, who was a submarine line officer during World War II, retired as a lieutenant commander, therefore was qualified to swear me in. I am convinced that my raising my right hand and taking my oath to uphold and defend the Constitution of the United States of America to my grandfather is most of how I survived boot camp with a recruit division commander, or RDC, who took an instant disliking to me. She made my life miserable and was the reason I got set back after we had passed in review or graduated. As my shipmates were headed off to their A schools or to the fleet, technical training or the fleet, I was headed to another division 2 weeks behind us. My second setback was due in part, again, to her having sent me to the Motivational Training Unit, or MTU, where we did aerobics with wooden M16s. During one of my trips to MTU, one of the guys in my brother division was assaulted with his wooden M16 to the point he required 21 stitches. He also would not keep his hands off of me, and we were obviously not allowed to have physical contact with fellow recruits, but he had a crush on me and was constantly trying to touch me. So we got set back 2 more weeks, put on legal hold. I did manage to pass and review a second time and finally got to head to San Diego for my A school. So I got to Chicago at the tail end of the record-breaking heat wave, the summer of '95, triple-digit temperatures, and when I left, there was a foot of snow on the ground. I spent Halloween, Thanksgiving, and Christmas all at RTC, Recruit Training Command, Great Lakes. I landed in San Diego 1 week before my 18th birthday with walking pneumonia. Fun. My first husband and I had known each other briefly in high school and ran into each other again while in A school. We decided we wanted to try to have a relationship and started dating shortly before I was due to graduate. And then we decided that we wanted to, try to keep going. But the only way to do that was to attempt to be stationed together. And the only way we could guarantee being stationed together was to get married. We had been dating for 2 weeks. The Navy at that point had 1 year to station us in the same geographical location. The night I graduated, 1 month to the day after we got married, the decision was made to not continue with our marriage. My second husband, though, I met him in A school. He was my best friend, and I loved him to death. We married about a year and a half after my discharge, and I now have 2 wonderful kids with him. So now, let's talk Veterans Day, now that we have my story. November 11th. It's a date etched in the memory of many, marking the armistice that silenced the guns of World War I, the Great War, back in 1918. While the official end of the war came later with the signing of the Treaty of Versailles, that moment on the 11th hour of the 11th day of the 11th month held a profound significance. It was a moment of hope, a moment of peace after years of devastating conflict. In 1919, President Woodrow Wilson recognized the importance of this date, proclaiming November 11th as Armistice Day. He envisioned a day filled with solemn pride, gratitude for victory, and a renewed commitment to peace. It was a day for parades, public gatherings, and a brief pause in the busyness of life to honor those who had served. But as time marched on, and the world faced more conflicts, the meaning of November 11th expanded. World War II, the Korean War, Vietnam. It became clear that a day was needed to honor veterans of all wars, not just the war to end all wars. And so, in 1954, Congress answered the call, officially changing the name from Armistice Day to Veterans Day. It became a day to honor all American veterans, regardless of when or where they served, whether during wartime or peacetime. A day to recognize their patriotism, their love of country, and their willingness to serve and sacrifice for the common good. Now, I know there can be some confusion around this time of year. We have Veterans Day, we have Memorial Day, we have Armed Forces Day. What's the difference? Let's get to the bottom of that now. Memorial Day, observed the last Monday in May, is a solemn occasion specifically dedicated to remembering those who died in service to our nation. It is a day to honor their ultimate sacrifice, to reflect on their courage, and to hold space for the families they left behind. Veterans Day, on the other hand, is a day for all who served, living or deceased. It's a time to thank them for their dedication, their sacrifices, and their commitment to protecting our nation. It's an opportunity to acknowledge the challenges they face upon returning home. Things like accessing health care because the VA is not easy to deal with, finding employment, and navigating the invisible wounds of war, and to reaffirm our commitment to supporting them. As a vet myself, this day holds a deep personal meaning. It's a time to connect with my fellow veterans, to share stories, and to remember those we've lost along the way. It's also a time to reflect on my own journey, how my time in the Navy shaped me, and how it led me to the path I walk today. You see, my time in the service taught me discipline, resilience, and the importance of teamwork, honor, courage, commitment. It also instilled in me a deep appreciation for freedom, for the sacrifices made to protect it, and for the interconnectedness of all beings. These values are also at the core of my yoga practice and my magical life. Also, as I have said a few times, both during my daily draws and my podcast, literally, my service is how I found yoga. Yoga for me is a way to cultivate inner peace, to connect with my breath, and to find grounding in the present moment. It's a practice that helps me navigate the challenges of life with grace and resilience, just like my military training did. And it's a practice that allows me to tap into the magic within and around me, to connect to the divine, and to live a life filled with purpose and intention. This Veterans Day, I invite you to join me in honoring our veterans. Reach out to a vet in your life, thank them for their service, and listen to their stories. Support organizations that assist veterans in need. I'll add some links to the blog post that is being posted with this podcast today. And if you're a veteran yourself, take time for self-care, for reflection, and to connect. Remember, we're not alone. Let us also use this day as a reminder to work towards peace, to cultivate compassion, and to honor that warrior spirit within all of us. The warrior spirit, not just about physical strength or combat. It is courage, resilience, and the willingness to stand up for what is right. It's about facing our fears, overcoming our challenges, and living a life of integrity and service. So, as we approach Veterans Day this coming Monday, let us remember the sacrifices made on our behalf. Let us honor all of those who have served, and let's commit to creating a world where peace and justice prevail. And that, my witchlings, is our podcast. Thank you for joining me today. May your Veterans Day be filled with gratitude, reflection, and the magic of connection. Go out there, spread love, joy, and kindness. We need it. Tell your loved ones that you love them. You never know when you're not going to have that opportunity again. I can't do that one today. I'll see you guys later. I love you all.